bumper crop and a good job of combining. That's the kind of harvest every farmer should have every year in every threshable crop. That kind of harvest means clean grain in the bag or bin, a quick harvest free from crop-wasting delay. It means high-testing grains or seeds, top market price, bigger returns with lower harvesting costs. Good harvesting begins for you when the right size and type of combine arrives at your farm. This 6-foot machine is designed for heavy service. It's a model that has set a record for outstanding performance in harvest fields around the world. Your dealer or his specially trained serviceman can show you how to get the same performance for every threshable crop on your farm, whether you're a threshing expert or not. When your combine is delivered, your dealer will ask you to sign the dealer's combine delivery service report. It serves as a checklist for him and as assurance to you that he has done a thorough job of pre-delivery service. This instruction book will answer all your questions once your dealer has acquainted you with a few basic facts and how to apply them. Seeds in every size, weight, and every type of head or pod have been harvested by this machine from more crops than you'd imagine, short and tall, bushy and slender. Most threshable crops the world over can be divided into 7 groups. If you know how to handle one of each, you can handle them all, whether the total number is 10 or 100. First, we have regular grains: wheat, barley, oats, rye. This is an oat field. Second, special grain crops, including rice, flax, and buckwheat. Flax is shown here. Third, small legume seeds: clovers, alfalfa, lespedeza, lupins. The background shows the harvesting of red clover seeds. Fourth, large, heavy seeds: soybeans, edible beans, cowpeas, Austrian field peas. This is a soybean field. Fifth, sorghum, cappers, dwarf milos. This is a hagare harvest. Sixth, fluffy grass seeds: brome, blue stem, red top, crested wheat, which is the crop shown here. Seventh, garden crop seeds: lettuce, cabbage, turnips, chard, and beet seed, as in the picture. 3 major adjustments to the combine provide the basic setting for all 7 groups of threshable crops. These major adjustments are: 1, the cylinder and concaves; 2, the sieve openings; and 3, the air lift from the fan. Your dealer can show you each of these 3 adjustments. They are simple to make, easy to understand. Cylinder and concaves are adjusted here. Check the manual for suggested cylinder speeds for the crop to be harvested. With the cylinder running at the correct speed and the proper number of concaves in place, threshing action can be increased or decreased by raising or lowering the concave. Adjusted with a single lever, this will usually take care of variations in crop conditions during the day. 3 small levers control sieve openings to accommodate various sizes and shapes of seeds. The wing nut at 4 controls the position of the tailboard. The volume of air, and thus the airlift on the sieves, is controlled by blinds on each end of the fan housing. These blinds can be individually adjusted. Remember, just 3 major adjustments for the 7 groups of threshable crops. With these in mind, you can roughly fit your combine to the crop before you leave the barnyard. After the main adjustment, thoroughly lubricate every grease fitting and oiling point on either a new or older combine before you take it to the harvest field. And then, run it in, starting at reduced speed until you're sure every part is working smoothly, then running at full speed for a few minutes. Out in the field, you'll be off to a good start if you've had your dealer or his serviceman go along to be sure the combine is harvesting as it should. After cutting a short distance, stop the machine and check the quality of work in 3 places: in the bin or bag, at the tailings elevator, and in the threshed straw. Suppose you were harvesting small seed and found this unusually bad condition. chaff, dirt, and stems, or straw in the bin or bag. This indicates excessive threshing, which overloads the sieves with straw particles, or sieve openings too wide, or not enough air, or all three conditions. Unthreshed heads of grain or seed pods in the bin or bag indicate incomplete threshing and improper sieve adjustment, which fails to return all tailings for rethreshing. If more than a trace of threshed seed is found in the tailings, adjust the sieves to let all seed pass through and increase the airlift. If this doesn't work, try the following adjustment. Lower the rear end of the shoe sieve at the indicated point and set the openings to let the grain flow through more readily. Reduce the cylinder speed or lower the concaves if you find cracked seed in the tailing. Also, in a used machine, check for centering or bent cylinder and concave teeth. If peas or beans are being threshed, you may have to use special sprockets to reduce the speed of the feeding auger and beater to eliminate the cracked seed condition. In checking the straw as it comes from the combine, look first for unthreshed heads. If only a few are found and they appear to be coming from the chaffer sieve, it may indicate improper adjustment of the chaffer extension at 2. On the other hand, many unthreshed heads in the straw indicate too little threshing action. To correct this condition, check for the correct cylinder speed, raise the concaves, or add more concaves. Look for threshed grain in the straw, too. But remember, it takes about 1 million wheat kernels to make a single bushel. To waste 1 bushel every 10 hours, a combine has to throw over 1,600 kernels a minute. But if excessive loss is indicated, if the straw appears to be over-threshed, be sure the cylinder speed is correct, as indicated in the operator's manual. Remove some of the concaves or lower the concaves. If grain is found in the chaff as it falls from the machine, open the sieve or increase the airlift, or do both. If grain or seed is being blown over, reduce the airlift. Now, remember the 3 major adjustments. They are, first, the cylinders and concaves, second, the sieve openings, and third, the airlift. After your dealer has helped you off to the right start, any further adjustments can be quickly made by remembering his suggestions and by referring to your operator's manual. Under certain conditions, the use of special attachments, such as the windrow pickup, may increase harvesting efficiency. The pickup attachment permits windrowing the crop ahead of the combine to simplify the handling of straw or vines which are still green when the seed is ready to harvest. Other advantages are when the crop is infested or threatened with green weeds, when the crop ripens unevenly, when insects or disease may damage the crop if it is left standing, when the grain nurse crop can't be cut high enough to miss the green hay or grass crop. Other special attachments remove weed seeds, spread straw, and aid in the harvesting of certain groups of crops. Your dealer can advise you concerning those useful in your locality. Whatever equipment you may use, the same basic adjustments still apply to all 7 groups of threshable crops. They are the key to outstanding combine performance from the start of the harvest season until the last bushel is in the bin or bag. Equally important is proper lubrication and alert maintenance. Take care of your combine, and it will take care of you. Follow your instruction book consistently. Read it again before every new harvest season. Be sure that every fitting is lubricated on schedule. Keep the sickle and guards in good cutting condition. Remove the header canvas when the combine will be exposed to rain, snow, or fog. Be alert for loose bolts, missing grease fittings, and cotter keys. Maintain the proper tension on drive belts and chains. A few extra minutes of care may save hours of delay. Finally, when the harvest is over, bring in your combine promptly. Store it in a rain-tight implement shed following the instruction book for proper storage of belts, canvases, and cutting parts. Know your combine. Know how to operate it right. Then for good harvesting every season, in every threshable crop, you'll be ready for Operation Combine.
Modern combines are designed to do a job. And even though the design is the result of years of field testing around the world, the performance of each machine depends largely on the dealer who sells it. Both the farmer and the manufacturer depend on the dealer to get each new combine started right. It's the dealer who unloads the machine, sets it up, runs it in, and delivers it to the farmer with proper instructions. If he has done this job right, he'll have a satisfied customer who'll buy again and who'll tell his neighbors. Supporting the dealer's efforts, the J.I. Case Company manufactures each unit with skill and care, from accurate alignment and assembly of the combine frame at the start to the completed unit at the other end of the assembly line. But before final assembly, the machine is carefully tested in 3 separate units. Sickle and pitman are run in separately to assure smooth performance from the first round on, because good harvesting begins with clean cutting. The feeding auger gets a separate workout, further assurance of smooth operation and proper alignment of bearings and shafts, further assurance of performance in the field. And securely loaded, finished combines are ready to travel. Destination? Anywhere in the world. Destination? Your depot, perhaps. Each of these combines has been soundly engineered and built of the best materials. Each can do a job for your customer, but only if you do your job first. As the car is unloaded, use a check sheet to make certain every machine is complete as ordered and shipped. Then follow these 5 steps. 1, unload each machine carefully. 2, set it up correctly. 3, run it in at reduced speed. 4, deliver it in the field properly adjusted. And 5, thoroughly instruct the operator. Following this procedure assures superior field performance from each combine. Now, what do you do to unload each machine carefully? That's the first step. Well, after removing the loose parts, remove the blocks from underneath the axles. Some dealers use a jack to lift the combine just enough to let them knock out the blocks sideways. Use a power crane for unloading if you need to, and one is available. But be sure the rigger knows his business. Or roll it off the car, using a temporary tongue if the machine is faced toward the rear. There are a lot of practical ways to do the job. Just be sure to follow safe practice. Use the same temporary tongue to tow the machine to the store if you like. It's safe for miles of travel. And safe arrival at the store means that step number 1 has been completed. The combine has been carefully unloaded. Next, set it up correctly. That's step 2, assembling the combine, which was shipped knocked down to lower your shipping costs. The dealer's combine delivery service report, which includes pre-delivery inspection, will serve as a check on the setting up operation. Spot the main unit in the center of a clear area, indoors or out, preferably on a smooth floor to prevent loss of small parts and to provide level footing for supports. In assembling, use the following order. First, the feeding auger assembly. Second, basket structure. Third, drawbar. Fourth, header. Fifth, reel. Sixth, cross shaft and drives. And seventh, grain bin or bagging platform and any special attachments. First, set the feeding auger assembly in place. Bolts holding the trough must be placed with heads inside. When you replace the stripper plate, be sure to bolt it angle down between the top of the header auger trough and the front of the hood. So placed, it prevents loss of light grains and seeds, creating a suction to draw material into the cylinder and concaves. When properly installed, bolt heads and feeder floor extension are positioned as shown by the sketches. The hinged extension on the underside of the feeder floor rests on the upper edge of the concave. Next is the basket structure. This assembly supports the cross shaft, grain bin, and upper part of the drawbar. Reassemble the mounting bracket for the cylinder drive chain tightener so the tightener is outside the basket structure. And here's a tip. When the basket structure is set over the axle, leave all bolts loose until the last one is in place. Alignment is easier this way. The header auger is aligned by tightening the brace. Merely place in position, then tighten and adjust after the power cross shaft is installed. Bolt the drawbar to the axle and basket structure, being sure to attach all braces and cross pieces to assure maximum rigidity for rough harvesting conditions. Completely assemble all the header parts before attaching the header to the combine. This is a must. Next, attach the upper ends of the hook dividers with spacers in the slots. Then, bolt the platform extension sheet and cross angle at the upper end of the header. The header balance arms are bolted to the main frame with U-bolts. The header balance springs hook to the balance arms and are left free at the rear end until after the header is installed. Attach the header assembly with the hinge brackets and connect the lift links. The balance springs are adjusted later. When installing the pitman, adjust its length to obtain correct sickle register. Then tighten the hex nut securely against the sickle crank bearing housing. Register is correct when the sections pass equal distance through the adjacent guards at the ends of the pitman stroke. Tighten the pitman bearing bolts to keep the bearing snug, but not so tight that the linkage will bind. All other bolts must be drawn tight. Next, assemble the reel, complete with bearings and arms, and slip into place. Combine reels may have either 3, 4, or 6 bats, depending on crop conditions. A V-belt drives the reel. Tighten the spring only enough to drive the reel under ordinary conditions. A larger reel sheave is available to provide slower reel speeds to match slow ground speeds in cutting heavy crops. The roller chain drive has a reversible sprocket to give 2 reel speeds. The shield for this drive and all shields on the combine must be in place before the combine is operated. After attaching the balance springs, balance the header by adjusting the tension of each spring. Check the tension by installing the lift lever and testing. Connecting the header lift link with the upper cross bolt in the top position A allows the header to float up and down with the irregularity of the ground. Moving the bolt to a lower hole B checks this floating action. When tractors are equipped with hydraulic systems capable of operating remote cylinders, a hydraulic header control can be installed on the combine. Controlled by a lever from the tractor seat, this system assures quick raising or lowering of the header. Next, install the power cross shaft from which the combine is driven. Place the flat belt on the cross shaft pulley before bolting the shaft bearings in place. With the shaft in place, tighten the brace to the auger trough. Then, install the grain bin jack shaft, leveling by means of the slotted holes in the support brackets. These slots also permit belt tightening. The front and rear idler assemblies align the belt on the discharge auger sheave. Inspect alignment of 1, the chain to the grain bin jack shaft. 2, the V-belt to the header auger. 3, the flat belt to the engine. 4, the chain to the cylinder. And 5, the chain to the straw rack crankshaft. Now, tighten all the bolts in the basket structure. Next, check the engine for dirt in the air passages by removing the cleanout plates. Fill the engine with the proper grade of oil, and then install the air cleaner breather pipe, being sure to remove the cork from the inlet pipe on the engine. To install the engine drive throwout and throttle control, first attach the pivot pipe assembly. Then connect the governor control linkage and the engine throwout tightener. Adjust the throttle control and attach linkage to the engine drive tightener. Adjust the length of the control lever for convenient operation from the tractor seat. Before keying the pulley on the engine, adjust the working alignment of the idler pulley by shifting the bearing on the right-hand end of the engine throwout shaft until the belt runs true. Install the unloading auger drive and carry the throwout ropes to the drawbar. Before mounting the grain bin, check the sliding door at the bottom to be sure it moves freely. Then mount the bin and connect the unloading drive belt. When placing augers in the auger troughs, check the alignment in the bearing caps. Attach the elevators to the auger troughs. The elevator chain has a connecting link which is pinned when attached. With the grain bin in place, install the grain elevator and drive. Then, adjust the tension of the elevator chain. The grain bin distributor auger is mounted on an angle support placed across the grain bin. Install the tightener for the elevator drive belt with a flat grooved sheave to the front, as the back of the V-belt runs on this sheave. Also tighten the drive chain of the distributor auger. Now slide the grain bin unloading auger into place and attach with a support bracket. The sliding door must be opened so as to feed the unloading auger. Use it to close the bin so that the unloading auger can be removed and the combine operated without loss of grain. This is an aid when operating close to buildings, fences, or trees. To adjust the tailings return elevator chain, first loosen the side bolts. Then take up any slack by turning the adjusting bolt. Retighten the side bolts and readjust the elevator drive belt. After the combine is completely assembled, carefully grease every fitting. And at the same time, check for loose grease fittings, missing bolts, braces, or wrong assembly. And now you're ready to run it in at reduced speed, the third step in getting the combine started right. Take another look at the dealer's combine service report. Follow the suggestions for running in during pre-delivery service. Run in the machine at least 2 hours at half speed with the machine empty. Check the operation of the various controls. Then, after a few minutes of full speed operation, shut it off and check for loose parts. Let's study this order of assembly while the operator turns the record. Now that the machine is completely assembled, let's see just how each section operates. The operations can be divided into 5 parts. First, there's cutting and pickup. Second, feeding. Third, threshing. Fourth, separating. And fifth, cleaning and conveying. Here's that dealer's combine delivery service report again. The section on delivery procedure is very important. Here's the cutting and pickup section, where trouble-free harvest begins, with smooth, clean cutting and a reel action which lays the grain back on the canvas in a wide, even mat. A crop which is cut right moves evenly and freely up the header canvas and feeds steadily back to the cylinder. for clean cutting in tangled crops. Have the sickle in correct register and the sections lying flat on the ledger plates without pressure from the hold-down clips. Review the instructions for servicing the sickle given in the operator's manual. It is important that sections and guard plates be sharp and have proper shear contact. The reel on this combine has a wide range of adjustments to meet every harvesting condition. The adjustment at 1 changes the reel position vertically in relation to the sickle and canvas, while the adjustment at 2 changes the reel position horizontally. And remember, there's a choice of 2 reel speeds through the quickly reverse sprocket on the reel drive. Feeding is the second operation of the combine. This particular feeding mechanism is responsible for much of the outstanding performance which has made this combine so popular. The feeding auger tucks the grain or seed crop into cylinder width before feeding it to the cylinder. Notice how the action of the feeding auger gives an even flow of grain across the whole cylinder width, even though the straw may be coming up the header in bunches. In windrow combining, this same action centers the windrow and smooths and flattens the material, feeding it to the cylinder in an even layer. Threshing is the third operation. The spike-tooth cylinder gives a thorough threshing action, positively regulated by changing the number of concaves, by lowering or raising the concaves, by changing the cylinder speed between crops. The concave raising adjustments are made with one notched lever which raises or lowers all concaves at once. The extreme raised and lowered positions are shown. As a rule, concaves should be set high to comb out all the seed. Whether the concaves are set high or low, the cylinder teeth must be centered between the concave teeth on either side. Make this adjustment with the lock screws at 1 to move the concave sideways. For further alignment, shift the cylinder by loosening the bolts at 2. The eye bolts at 3 raise or lower the finger grates and rear of the concaves. Separation, the fourth step, starts at the cylinder through open finger grates. Just beyond them is the large beater, which deflects straw and flying kernels down to the straw rack for more than 10 feet of vigorous agitation to sift out grain and heads. Cleaning the grain and conveying it to bin or bag is the final operation. Good cleaning is the sign of a carefully adjusted machine. 3 things are required. 1, correct machine speed. 2, proper sieve setting. And 3, the right wind for proper airlift. The main parts of this section are 1, the straw rack, 2, the chaffer sieve, 3, the chaffer extension, and 4, the shoe sieve. Case airlift cleaning employs an even flow of air which blows upward through shoe and chaffer sieves to carry dust and chaff away as the clean grains fall downward toward the conveying augers. The airflow is controlled by adjusting the fan blinds, 1 pair on each end of the fan housing. And remember, this adjustment affects the air pressure on the opposite side of the sieve and chaffer. With a fan speed attachment, the operator can obtain the gentle airlift for small grain and light seed crops, and a stronger airlift for beans, peanuts, and other heavy crops. The proper airlift from the fan ensures a thorough job of cleaning for all types of crops. It also prevents loss of seed over the sieves. The chaffer or upper sieve removes the coarser material from the mixture of grain, chaff, and straw particles. The openings are set wide enough so that all the grain or seed drops through, including some of the small chaff particles. The chaffer extension catches any possible unthreshed heads or pods for return to the cylinder for rethreshing. Usually, the extension is opened wider than the chaffer. The chaffer adjustment is at 1. 2 is the extension adjustment, and 3, the shoe sieve adjustment. The thumb nut at 4 is loosened to raise or lower the tailboard. Grain heads or tailings from the chaffer extension are carried by an auger and elevator to the cylinder for rethreshing. Clean grain from the sieves is carried by another auger to an elevator and on to bin or bag. The use of special equipment, such as the windrow pickup attachment, provides more efficient harvesting of some crops or more efficient harvesting under unusual conditions. For this combine, special attachments are available to meet virtually every requirement. The pickup attachment is simple and effective. There are no complicated cams or bearings inside the drum. The stripper assembly is rigidly supported along the whole length of the cutter bar. The sickle may be operated with the pickup in place to help clear the strippers of trash. A V-belt and roller chain drives the pickup drum. A safety clutch on the large pulley protects the attachment from breakage. Guards covering the chain and sprockets should always be in place when the pickup is in use. The straw spreader attachment scatters the straw falling from the rear of the straw rack. Tillage operations are handled more easily when straw is evenly distributed over the ground. The sorghum topper is useful for threshing from the shock. The vertical sickle slices heads evenly from the bundles. The roto cleaner removes weed seed by allowing it to pass through a screen as the grain is carried across the screen by an auger. This same attachment is sometimes used to separate legume seed, such as vetch, from larger grains, like oats. Remember the dealer's combine delivery service report. Check and account for each item that applies to the combine you are delivering. When you have completed all the items, sign it, and then have the purchaser sign it too. Give the purchaser his copy, file yours, and send the triplicate to the branch. Whatever the crop to be handled, a modern combine, such as the one in this film, can be trusted for an efficient, low-cost harvest. But remember, obtaining an outstanding performance record from every combine depends largely on starting each new combine right. And that means that every new combine must be unloaded carefully, set up correctly, run in at reduced speed, and delivered early to the customer. And most important, at the beginning of harvest, give the owner thorough instruction in operation, care, and maintenance. When you do all of these, your customer is going to be proud of his combine and the job it does. And you can be glad you knew the right method for getting your combines from car to customer.